Hello and welcome to another episode of the Break Free series. I'm Teboho Mosehle and you are listening to Emalahleni FM. Let's have a quick recap for those tuning in for the first time. Break Free is a call to action, a worldwide movement that intends to put pressure on the governments and the fossil fuel industry to fight against carbon pollution and climate change. It's time to leave fossil fuels in the past. After all, we know it's the main cause of climate change. Last time we talked about what climate change really is and some of the threats it can pose not just to the environment, but our health as well. We also spoke about the two proposed coal-fired power stations to be located in Lephalale, Limpopo, and Emalahleni, Mpumalanga. Both communities already have to put up with other fossil fuel developments close to their homes. And these two coal-fired power stations could do them a lot more damage if we don't break free from fossil fuels and climate change now. For mines or new coal-fired power stations to be built, it's a law in South Africa that the community that will be affected by this new dirty developments be consulted about it. The community of Lephalale already has Medupi coal-fired power station and Grootegeluk coal mine looming over them. Now Thabametsi coal-fired power station, which could be one of the biggest producers of greenhouse gases in the world, could be added to the mix. We spoke to Andres Mucheko, who worked on the construction of Medupi and moved on to join the Waterberg Environmental Justice Forum, about living in Lephalale and how the community has transformed under the smoke of dirty developments. Stay tuned to hear his story.
Okay, my name is Andres Mucheko from Limpopo. I'm living in a place called Lephalale.
Andres worked on the construction site for the Medupi coal-fired power plant. Following a mass retrenchment process, he started working full-time with the Waterberg Environmental Justice Forum.
Waterberg Justice Forum is a community-based organization rooted in the Lephalale. Our objectives are to create awareness on environmental rights and the impact of the coal industry. Our area where I'm living, we've got two big major power plants, which is Eskom Medupi and Eskom Matimba, and a big coal mine called Grootegeluk coal mine. Our former Minister of Environmental Affairs, Minister Edna Molewa, declared our area, Lephalale, as a hotspot area because of the development that are coming to our area. It's developing of coal. Our area is scarce with water. We have a shortage of water, but we challenges that our government is pumping the mines in our area. So this is the challenge, and this is how I started to join this organization.
Under South African law, any company wanting to launch a new mining project must hold a public consultation for the affected community prior to obtaining a license. But a consult is not the same thing as getting the full consent of a community, and sometimes the community isn't even given free access to the consultation.
The challenge that we are facing in the Waterberg, especially in my area, is because of the consultation, the proper consultation, especially when the development like coal, when they come into our area. Lack of consultation, our community, they don't get the information in time to say this and this are going to happen in your area, so come to the consultation. So this organization is what we're focusing on, to make sure that companies like Grootegeluk coal mine, companies like Eskom, because of that, are only companies around in our area, that any development that are coming, and also our municipalities, we try to get those stakeholders and the community to come together and just to get some information. So I will not say that we against the development, but we must have a right to say no to the development that can harm ourselves. So because of the lack of information in our area, We follow that. We do the registration, not knowing that they're going to use that registration to make sure that they allow this project to come to our area. Now, as I was speaking, we facing the consequences of this project. They promise that they will give the skill and everything, but do things. This project never, ever, ever, ever do anything for us as community of Lephalale. So now what we are going to face is the health and all the influx that are coming to our area. It's disaster as I speak. People were coming here, even when they get the job, then they retrench them, they stay in building shacks. And you must remember that our area was the tourist harbor. We were living a nice, peaceful life. But after this project, that just now the area we're facing crime. Crime is high. Dropping out of the school, our youth now starting to lose focus and starting to use drugs, alcohol abuse. We don't have those activities that the youth can use around where there was parks, where people can chill. Now there's shacks, people building shacks everywhere. So there's no space, there's no everything. This area now is turned to another a horrible zone.
The community of Lephalale transformed from a tourist hub into a sea of shacks. Water is extremely scarce. The youth suffer the cost, and there is social devastation. But living in close proximity to these power stations and mines also causes serious health effects, especially in children and the elderly.
Now is winter. Those Matimba is just 2 kilos away from our township. I can see here when I'm at home, close by to the township, is the close power station in the township that any other power station. Those sulfur dioxide are coming down. Just you can smell it, even you can see it, and this is the dangerous thing. And a lot of people experiencing the asthma problem, and especially on the women. So this is the things that we're facing, and we're looking at. We need maybe some research that they can see and how dangerous and how this can put our community in danger, can take their lives or what.
People in the Lephalale area are already suffering the effects of the existing coal-fired power plants and Grootgeluk coal mine, and there are more harmful developments looming on the horizon.
You know, the LED strategy of Lephalale, the municipality vision for 2025 is to increase power stations from 1 to 5, including Thabamedi, and increasing coal production from 16 million tons to more than 100 million tons per annum. You can imagine. So this is a project that are coming in a faster way in our area. A project that they've been starting from 2014 to 2016. So now can start in any time. So this is the challenge that our community, they are not aware about those projects. It's only the department, it's only the chief and other stakeholders around. As organization, it's what now we pressurize our local municipality. But because of now we are facing people who have power, who can do whatever he thinks, and also we just looking on our safety. It can't be correct to come to the community and tell them that this area is going to be the first city that built under black government, and we just clap the hands and say yes, there will be a lot of opportunity of work or what because of coal. As the organization, we don't look at that. We see the disaster. We look at that. How can you pump all the mines in our area? Well, we know that our area is scarcity of water. You know, in my region, our community now they just see it as something that is normal because of the political, the councillors and everything. They told them that this is a matter of time. Everything is going to be okay. But we're facing a serious challenge now in rush hour, like now in the morning, there's no water. Later when people are in at work or during the day is where you find the water. But when it's coming later and afternoon and and early in the morning is where you have the challenges of to getting water. Reason why, Exaro is the one who giving this township water. So if there's a problem on their side when coming to water, they know that they close these taps that go into the township. So issue of water is a very challenging, especially on the township. The proper consultation, they are not following that. So that is why it seems like our community maybe are ignorant. They are not ignorant. They not inform our community, and when they do those consultations, they do the consultation where the community cannot have access to that area, to where they can find the community and tell them about those things. So as organization is what we're focusing on to make sure that our community have a say, have a voice. My message to South Africans, as we know where we come from, we seems like we forgot that we cannot take part in the mines. We cannot rely on these coal mines and those coal projects while we know that they're destroying our area, they're destroying the land. We have challenges of water. It's because of those developments and our future generations is where they're going to face these challenges. So we need to come together and make sure that they will have the right to say no to any project that will come and not benefiting the area that we live on and not impacting our area. So this is the thing that we are aware that unemployment rate is high, but we need to start ourselves, not pointing fingers to each other because of someone don't do that. You must start with me. Well, what can I do to change my area to be a better place? They start with me, then you can say, yes, together we can move forward to build a beautiful South Africa that we dream of, and to make sure that our future generation, I find our area as a green, as a beautiful place, as everyone want to visit it.
If you have just tuned in, you are listening to Teboho on Emalahleni FM, and this is the Break Free Radio Series. Today we are talking about why we need to break free from climate change and how the effects of the proposed coal-fired power plants will affect communities in Limpopo and Mpumalanga and South Africa as a whole. The work that Andries and the rest of the Waterberg Environmental Justice Forum is doing to inform their community is inspired. But they need South Africa's support in stopping their homes from being even more affected by fossil fuels and climate change. There is no place for new fossil fuel developments in South Africa, especially now when renewable energy is booming around the world, becoming more affordable and is much less harmful to the environment and to our own health. We spoke to David Lepage from Fossil Free South Africa about why it's important to take a stand for these communities to stop these dirty developments from going forward.
My name is David Lepage. I am the coordinator and vice chair of Fossil Free South Africa. We're a campaign for fossil fuel divestment, that is, stopping all investments in companies with substantial footings in oil, gas, and coal. And the reason for wanting to do this, obviously, is to make a big dent on the net contribution of humanity to climate change. The Thaba power station will have a huge impact on climate. It's in a water-stressed area, so coal power stations need a great deal of water to run. So the chances are that, in a sense, this is a power station that has its own demise built in the sense that it's going to be contributing to undermining the resources that it needs itself to run. It's being proposed at a time when most countries are turning away from new coal. And of course, the Thaba power station is going to have emissions ranging from sulfur dioxide to nitrous oxide and various other pollutants, all of which will have, putting climate change aside, will have a direct impact on the local environment, on the local people. The only real argument that can be made for having a power station like Waterberg, or at least the argument that's being made by government, is that we need coal power for so-called development. Burning coal has come to be like burning our house down to stay warm. And if we really want to have development that gives people more jobs and better jobs, then all the evidence is, both internationally and increasingly from South Africa's own successful renewable energy power program, that we're far better off relying on a new renewable energy strategy, wind and solar power, that when combined across wide geographic areas and across different regions can provide the so-called baseload power that is supposedly the rationale for power stations like Waterberg. To talk about the benefits of sustainable development, in a sense, suggests that there's an alternative. What we as humanity are doing at the moment, to use the metaphor I just used once again, we're burning our house down to stay warm. If we want to avoid ecosystem collapse, which leads to economic collapse, which leads to social collapse, then we really have to change our model of development. And the way to move past the word sustainable, because it's become a somewhat loaded and confused word, we really need to be talking about regenerative development, or the kind of development that starts to rebuild the ecosystems in which we live. And there is enormous evidence from the countries that are starting to do that, including some countries here in Africa, such as Ethiopia and Rwanda, that are deeply committed to restoring ecosystems. And that is enormously beneficial to the human beings who live in those environments, that it's beneficial to local economies, that it allows for the creation of quality jobs and quality environments that really secure people's health. We tend to talk a great deal when talking about environmental issues about climate change, which of course is a human rights issue. It's about the right of people in the world right now to have a safe and secure existence. It's about the right of future generations to have a safe and secure existence. But there are a host of other parallel environmental problems besides climate change that are mounting around us, and that we're not paying nearly enough attention to as well. Fresh water, of course, is a consequence of climate change, but an access to fresh water is a massive problem here in Cape Town, for example. We have a biodiversity crisis. We don't understand the full extent to which the plant and animal life in our world help sustain our own lives. There are a host of parallel ecological crises that are mounting up and offer a profound threat to a stable human economy and society. Really what we need to be working for, if we're going to achieve some kind of model of regenerative development, is to build the understanding in the non-environmental parts of government of the importance of that window on reality, that kind of window on reality. And there are other countries where the need for regenerative development is widely understood, but unfortunately South Africa is not one of them. The pursuit of economic growth is no longer sufficient, and we need to be thinking far more about what kind of economic growth we have, and who benefits and for how long, and who pays the cost of some kinds of economic growth. South Africa, like many other countries, needs to commit to a model of regenerative development, which means that we no longer take shortcuts where we say, oh, well, for a few years we can get a few jobs from putting up a coal power station like Waterberg.
Something that really stuck with me when I listened to David is the saying, "We are burning our house down just to stay warm." It really sums up the way we think about fossil fuels causing climate change and posing an extreme threat to the future of our country and our world. In situations like these, it's easy to feel helpless, but every single person can take climate action for Africa and help us to break free from fossil fuels and change climate change. Join the African Climate Reality Project on Africa Day, 25 May, to help spread the Break Free movement even further. Visit www.climatereality.co.za to find out how to take part, or find the African Climate Reality Project on Facebook or Twitter. Now it's time for you to call in. Tell us your community's experience of living near fossil fuel development. or to share your story of taking action against climate change and fossil fuels. The more we talk about it, the bigger difference we can make for our future. It's time to break free from climate change.